Hi everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres. And it's a bit windy outside today, but it's a little teeny bit cooler. So today I have to get a bunch of seedlings out of the greenhouse. Now I've got 3 beds of beans here. These are Provider, I think, behind me. These are Carson. Those are both bush beans. And the ones down there are behind the camera are purple whole peas and royal burgundy. Now this bed behind me had Provider bush beans in, and it has been devastated multiple times this year by rodents. I don't know everything that was here, but I suspect rats, mice, and squirrels. We did trap out a bunch of rats, mice, and squirrels. So they came back, however, and even though I replanted, I've still got a big chunk of property here that's being wasted. And I've been debating, I had some cabbage and some other things that should have gone in months ago that just didn't, that I've been keeping alive. And I'm actually going to stick some of that here. I don't exactly consider this prime I don't exactly consider this prime territory. And if they make it, awesome. And if they don't, well, we could say we gave it a shot. My watermelon, I'm going to put over here. And I've got to go back to setting traps again here because this bed was supposed to be a whole bed full of green beans by now, and nothing. First, I think I'll do the watermelon. This bed has Carson yellow beans in it, and we love Carsons. They are super heavy producers. They'll get this cluster on top of beans that's just amazing. And this one corner just didn't produce all that well, and then we did have a couple of them chomped. I had replanted, and these were badly damaged by the hailstorm the other day. That's just the way it is sometimes. So I'm going to plant the watermelon over in this corner, and we'll see how it goes. I want to get it over away from the edge of the garden. Now, see, this is what you want to see. Worm, he's a happy camper. So that was something we never used to see here. But with all the compost we've added in the last few years, we are seeing that more consistently. So that's a very happy thing for us here. Now this is fortunately not too badly pot bound, which I'm really glad to see. Trying to keep all these little branches intact here. I may wind up doing a little bit of wind protection here. In fact, I'm going to wind up doing some wind protection here. It's not going to look pretty, but that's okay. The whole point is to keep this poor baby from getting mashed by the wind today. It's used to the sun, but the wind here is going to be a bit extreme for it because it's been in the greenhouse. I need to put little stakes to hold the watering in place. Right now this bed is actually running, so that's kind of handy. It'll sort of water it in for me, but I will come back later and make sure that it has enough water. Now this is a section that's just been totally cleared out. This morning when I came back, there's some of the plants that used to be over there are gone, so that means I need to set rat traps again. I get sort of tired of doing that, and sometimes after I haven't caught any for several weeks, I'll kind of slack off. Well, sometimes when you slack off, you pay the price. So I have some cabbages, and these look like Swiss cheese. because we had an infestation of cutworms. But I think we finally got rid of all the cutworms on them, and they're happy enough, they just look funny. So I'm going to plant a couple of these in here. Irrigation on this is already run this morning, so the soil is nice and damp. Which is great. I'm seeing a happy little worm down in there. And I was thinking that these were tiara because I haven't grown any of the other ones in a while, and they are tiara. I had planned originally to put these up against the house, but since they're going in so late, I decided I'd put them out here. One of the problems with putting things up against the house is you have to consider that if they're going to be here after snowfall, will they be crushed when the snow slides off the roof? So that means they have to be kind of in a specific area of the edge of the roof. I'm going to plant these with plenty of space. Since I have the space here, I might as well take advantage of it, and we'll see what happens. I have no idea how these will do. I've grown cabbage over at the other end of the bed. I forget what it was last year or the year before last, and did great until it was eaten. The usual story around here. But we're going to try again. We love this cabbage, and it did super well for us in the greenhouse this year during the winter. Now, you really don't want to be growing cabbage in the greenhouse during the summer. And unfortunately, it wound up staying in there because the beds it was supposed to go into were not ready. But stuff happens. We do the best we can, and we take our chances, and sometimes we pay our prices. So there's two in. That'll take up most of the cabbage, which is awesome. I actually have a cabbage that sort of boggles the mind, considering our heat this summer, that has headed up in the shade on the north side of the house. I did not mean to plant a cabbage there, actually. There was a slight fumble on some of the labeling, and I thought that was something else. But it turned out to be a cabbage, and by the time I realized it had already been there for a while, and I just sort of left it. Now this is our nemesis this summer. See him? These are those blasted cabbage. And there's another one. I keep looking these guys over because every time I turn around, they're so hard to see. And there's another one. We've had a huge amount of damage. Even things like the peppers, which you don't really think of as... I think I even pulled one or two off the tomatoes. What's bizarre is I had actually looked these over. The problem is every time you change light, it's like Henry will watch me picking cucumbers in the morning, and I will come at them from 6 different angles, because every time you get slightly different light on them, you'll see more cucumbers. Well, it's the same thing with bugs. So I keep trying to look at these every time I see them. And here, of course, I could pivot the plant around conveniently, and I'm going to put in 2 beets and an onion. Actually, I might put the onion somewhere else, but I'll put the beets here for sure. I don't know if you guys remember the story of this onion. I planted a bunch of candy onions. I had potting soil. I had everything you're supposed to do. And I wound up with this little, you know, I call it a furry spot. In other words, a bunch of little onion-like things. And I thought, wow, I've got several onions. Awesome. When things grew bigger, it turned out I had 1 onion and a bunch of sedge. Now, sedge is not an onion, not even sort of. And I was like, okay. Yeah, it was really weird. I thought I had like, there were a couple of them that looked a little different, and I thought they might be leeks because I had planted some leeks too, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, that's awesome. And then it turned out that I had one real onion and everything else there was a sedge. Now, I want to know where the heck that came from, because I had some weird seeds. I mean, you know, plants show up in some of my stuff this year, and I'm kind of wondering whether the potting soil was contaminated or whether the seeds were contaminated. And I'll never know, but I'll definitely be watching that because I don't like the idea. I mean, the reason you use potting soil is so that you're not having to deal with contamination. And then you have it anyway. I hope this inspires you to try something. A bunch of things didn't go right this summer. Our weather was terrible. We wound up hauling water instead of buying water. There was just so many things that didn't go as planned. We shouldn't even be home right now. We should be in Pennsylvania making money. But we're not doing that either because, well, no, the events are not happening. So since that happened, we decided to wing it. And that's a really important part of gardening, is winging it. Some years it's more than others. This year has been an interesting combination of well-planned and totally winging it. Until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Bye.